Hello everyone, and welcome to Future Sketch. My name is Chris Bro. I am an energy healer and intuitive, and every month I channel wisdom and guidance for the collective regarding the month ahead. This month we can look for a major theme around leadership and sovereignty and how those energies serve us in the dynamic of a collective. So let's dive right in. Know thyself to know thy authority. And with this came a reminder that the masculine emerges from the feminine, that right action emerges through right reflection, right understanding, and right listening. And so it's really tied to leadership. And so a major time for reflecting on what and who leads us, on the powers that shape our direction and choices, and in many ways grieving the loss of sovereignty, because in many areas we are feeling the dissonance between what we know in our hearts and the reality that we've created. So we'll see a continued frustration with leadership on all levels, both personally and collectively. And this is also a time, if you are a leader, of examining how you choose what's best for those that you lead. Are you listening to the collective under your guidance, or are you just listening to your own self-interest or fears? And in many cases, it may be that you're listening to the fears of the collective that you represent. Receive the fruits of suffering only at the recession of the tide. And this is, there's a big emotional component to this piece of wisdom. But what we'll see are positive movements in situations and areas of old or chronic healing. But we have to be clear-headed in this process. We have to be without our emotions clouding our vision and sight of the situation. And this is a transit movement out of fear. So the symbolism of crying and what those areas represent, that when we do get emotional, the tears well up in our eyes and can cloud our vision. That emotional energy can prevent us from seeing the root of a situation. And within this piece of wisdom, there was a very deep comforting that came through, that the price of suffering has been paid in many ways to create this new world. But the new world doesn't wipe away the slate of our emotions. It doesn't wipe the slate clean. It does not heal us. Our responsibility is to heal ourselves through forgiveness, acceptance, ownership, and a reminder that the world is not healing us through its creation. We are creating the world through our healing. The High Priestess shall open the door through the walls that block the path. And this was a very encouraging piece of wisdom, one that reminded or reminds us of our own magic, and one that holds with it a signal for a time of high magic and quantum level shifts in how we interact with the energy and our experiences. And what was coming through is a feeling that that we don't have to deal with the obstacles in order to deal with the obstacles. I can sit back and I can listen, and I can let the path show itself to me. And this sort of moves us forward in a new way of creating. It's a new, an awakening in our relationship with how we create and how we move forward within our experiences. One that's more intuitive more open to that divine guidance. And so it builds trust in the self and one's own gifts. And so there's an increase in this creative energy that's coming in, but also one that is a little destructive, but in a way that feels controlled by us. It's an energy, or a destructive energy, that is deconstructing those obstacles in a way that is meticulous and understanding and compassionate, not a destructive force that just obliterates the obstacle and leaves it scattered, but one that does it effortlessly and without a mess. And so it's graceful in that respect. The well of collective perspective is drained to rid its waters of poisoning. And this brought with it a reminder of the definition of the collective consciousness, what it is, and that a reminder that it is its own being, its own sovereign being, an entity made up of many individual sovereign beings. And so what we will see is a balancing of the sovereignty within those collectives. Because the level of sovereignty within the individuals is going to be reflected in the presentation of the collective consciousness itself. So what we'll have is a reevaluation of sovereign think within these collectives. And in that experience, a scattering of the collective mind, a weakening, as we as individuals examine what is poisoning this well of collective perspective. So we'll see this presented in many ways in how we interact with social media, with the news media, how we consume that information, as well as give to it as well. There's this feeling of guilt and defeat in where this collective has been directed, and the choices within that direction, and so a withdrawal to re-examine and to reevaluate how we participate within those relationships. So this will lead to a withdrawal of participation, and in some ways a demise of influence, as what this is referring to, like I said, is our own individual drawing from these sources, and so reevaluating again how we draw from that pool of collective perspective, as well as inputting our own perspective into that pool. So now we'll go over some strategies for navigating May. Follow the light. This was the first strategy that was offered for May. And it's just a reminder to allow yourself to flow toward the things that you enjoy, the things that light you up, and using those qualities as your compass, using that as your guide, and experiencing life as it comes, not necessarily working too hard to direct that flow of experience, but simply being one with the present, being mindful in that experience, and letting those things that you find joyful, that light you up and that connect with your heart, letting that be your guide forward. Reclaim yourself. This is telling us to focus on you. This is, like I've said, a time of reflection for us, reflecting on our own sovereignty and reflecting on how we participate with the collective energies that are out there. So focusing on you and beginning the process of sorting and letting go of the energy around you to reclaim what is yours and return what doesn't belong to you. Our individual experiences are different. My experiences may not be the same as someone else, so there's no need for me to be deeply involved with that processing or with the processing of that experience or energy. I cannot dig myself out of someone else's hole, so there's no need for me to be in there. I can help. I can provide perspective and assistance in the ways that are asked, but I can't dig out of the hole myself. So letting go of the position of being in someone else's hole when I don't need to be. Remember your magic. And this is connected to that part of the wisdom that is showing us this influx of high magic, of quantum level shifts that are taking place, and a reminder of our ability to manifest and create the reality that we choose, to create our own destiny, to lead and guide the direction of our experience, and just a reminder that we have all of the tools that we need. All we have to do is trust and listen to our experience to find that purpose and to find that way forward, to find the path and the doorways through the obstacles that we face. Choose wisely. This strategy came with a couple of different aspects to it. One was a reminder that our emotions must be calm if we expect to have a clear vision of the path ahead, or a clear insight into the issue. That we must settle our emotions so that our vision is not clouded. But also a reminder that we can ask for guidance, that we can, a reminder to see with a higher perspective, that we're not alone within our experience, that we can call for guidance from our higher self, from our spirit guides, and that is sort of strengthening ourselves within those pieces of wisdom, within those experiences that will be happening, where we're calling on that intuition, where we're strengthening that connection to the higher mind, to our higher consciousness, to navigate these experiences. So thanks for watching. Please leave a comment down below on how these energies are emerging for you. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey.